My name is Valentina, and I'm 33 years old. The day my mother told me to leave was Thanksgiving, 2019. The turkey was still warm on the table. I remember the exact angle of the afternoon light coming through the dining room window. It hit the crystal gravy boat, the one my grandmother brought from Colombia in 1967, and scattered tiny rainbows across the white tablecloth. I was watching those rainbows dance when my mother said it. Valentina, maybe it's time you found your own place. Stop depending on the family so much. The room went quiet. My fork was halfway to my mouth. Mashed potatoes, the kind I'd been making for this family since I was 16. I looked up at her. She wasn't looking at me. She was cutting her turkey with surgical precision. The way she did everything controlled, deliberate. Final. My brother Marcus was sitting across from me. He was 36, hadn't worked in for years, and was living in the basement with his girlfriend and her 2 kids. He smirked. Actually smirked. Then he said, "Yeah, Val, Mom's got a point." I set my fork down. Very carefully. The way you put down something fragile that you're afraid you might break. Or throw. Okay? I said. That's all I said. Just okay. My mother's eyes flicked to me then. Surprised maybe, or suspicious. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something else, but I was already standing up. The chair scraped against the hardwood floor I'd refinished 2 summers ago when the house was falling apart and no one else would help. Valentina. That was my father. He said my name like a warning, like I was doing something wrong by leaving the table she'd just dismissed me from. I walked upstairs to my room. The room I'd lived in since I was 7 years old, when we moved into this house. The room where I'd cried over my first heartbreak, studied for my nursing boards, and spent countless nights awake listening to my parents fight about money that I would later learn I'd been helping them with for years. I started packing. I wasn't angry. That's the strange part. I wasn't even hurt. Not in that moment. I was just done. You know that feeling when you've been carrying something heavy for so long that when you finally set it down, your arms don't know what to do with themselves. That's what I felt. Empty. Light. Free in a way that felt wrong. My phone was buzzing. Text from my Aunt Patricia. "What happened? Your mother is upset." Text from Marcus. "Drama queen." A call from my father that I didn't answer. I packed methodically. Clothes. Toiletries. The photo album my grandmother made me before she died. The nursing certificate I'd earned while also working full-time to help pay the mortgage on this house, the mortgage my parents were 3 months behind on before I stepped in. I left behind the furniture I'd bought, the dishes I'd replaced, the curtains I'd sewn. I left behind the evidence of 2 decades of holding this family together. See? What my mother didn't know, what she chose not to know, was that I'd been the financial backbone of this household since I was 18 years old. When my father lost his job in 2006, it was my restaurant tips that kept the lights on. When Marcus dropped out of college and my parents were crushed, it was my credit card that paid for his business ventures that never materialized. When my mother needed surgery in 2014 and the insurance wouldn't cover it all, it was my savings account that disappeared, $68,000. That's what I'd given this family over 15 years. I'd kept the receipts, not because I ever planned to ask for it back, but because I needed to know I wasn't going crazy, that it was real, that I had sacrificed something tangible, and through it all, I'd never asked for recognition. I didn't need parades or thank yous, but I'd held onto this small, quiet belief that they knew, that they saw me. That when my mother looked at me, she saw the daughter who stayed when Marcus left for 3 years to find himself in California, who stayed when my younger sister Gabriella moved to New York and sent Christmas cards but no money, who stayed because family was supposed to mean something. Stop depending on the family. I finished packing at 9:47 p.m. I know because I looked at the clock on my nightstand, the one I'd bought with my first nursing paycheck, and thought about how I'd never see that particular arrangement of numbers in that particular room again. I carried my suitcases downstairs. The house was quiet now. The leftover turkey was put away. The dishes were done. By whom? Probably by no one. Probably they'd waited for me to come back down and do it, the way I always did. My mother was in the living room, watching a baking show. She didn't look up when I came down. "I'm leaving," I said. She kept watching the screen. Don't be dramatic, Valentina. I'm not. I'm doing what you asked. That got her attention. She looked at me then. Really looked at me. And I saw something flicker across her face. Confusion, maybe. Or the beginning of understanding that she'd miscalculated something. You don't have to leave tonight, she said. But her voice was uncertain. I know, I said. But I'm going to. My father appeared in the doorway. He'd been listening. Where will you go? I have a place lined up, I lied. I didn't, but I would. I had enough in my checking account for a hotel and first month's rent somewhere. I'd figure it out. I'd always figured it out. Valentina, sit down. Let's talk about this. My mother's voice had shifted. It was softer now. Almost worried. Almost. There's nothing to talk about, I said. You told me to stop depending on the family. So I am. I didn't mean, she started. Yes, you did. I wasn't angry. My voice was calm. That's what seemed to scare her. You meant it. And you were right. It's time. I walked out the door, got in my car, drove to a Holiday Inn off Route 27, checked in, sat on the edge of a bed that smelled like industrial detergent and stale air conditioning, and then I cried. Not because I was sad, but because I was relieved. I didn't tell them where I was staying. For 3 days, my phone exploded with messages and calls. My mother, my father, my Aunt Patricia, Gabriella, who suddenly remembered she had a sister, even Marcus, pretending concern while really just wanting to know if I was okay because my absence was causing problems. I answered none of them. Instead, I found an apartment. A small one-bedroom in a complex 20 minutes away. Far enough that I wouldn't accidentally run into them at the grocery store. Close enough that they'd know I hadn't left the state, that I was choosing to stay away. I moved in the first week of December. The apartment was empty and cold and mine. Completely mine. I bought a cheap futon, a coffee maker, some dishes from Target. I went to work, came home, made dinner for one. It was the quietest my life had ever been. The calls continued. I finally answered one from my father on December 10th. Your mother is worried, he said. Tell her I'm fine. She wants to apologize. I don't need an apology. Silence. Then, the mortgage payment is due. There it was, the real reason for the call. You'll have to figure that out, I said. Valentina, don't be like this. Like what, Dad? Independent? Isn't that what you wanted? You know what I mean. We're family. I know we are. That's why I gave you 15 years. I hung up, blocked his number, blocked all their numbers. I wish I could say I felt nothing, but that would be a lie. I felt everything. Guilt, anger, liberation, grief. It was like I'd amputated a limb that had been infected for years. The pain was real, but so was the knowledge that it was necessary. Christmas came. I worked a double shift at the hospital, came home to my empty apartment, made myself a grilled cheese sandwich and watched It's a Wonderful Life while drinking wine straight from the bottle. My Aunt Patricia showed up at my apartment on December 28th. I don't know how she got my address. She knocked for 15 minutes before I finally opened the door. Mija, she said. Just that. Mija, Aunt Patty. Let me in. I did. She looked around my sparse apartment, at the futon, the single lamp, the TV on a cardboard box. She didn't say anything about it. She sat down on my futon and patted the spot next to her. I'm not here to convince you to come back, she said. That surprised me. No, I'm here to tell you I'm sorry. I felt my throat tighten. You don't have anything to be sorry for. I do. I watched them take advantage of you for years. I said nothing. I told myself it wasn't my business, that you were an adult making your own choices. But I should have said something. To them. To you. I'm sorry. We sat there for a long time not talking. Then she said, your mother is struggling. I know. Your father had to pick up extra hours. Marcus had to get a job. I looked at her. Marcus got a job at a warehouse. Night shift. He hates it. She smiled a little. His girlfriend left him, took her kids and moved in with her mother. Turns out she was only staying because your parents weren't charging rent. When they started asking for it, she left. I should have felt satisfaction. I didn't. I just felt tired. The house is falling apart, Aunt Patricia continued. The bathroom sink has been leaking for 2 weeks. The heat isn't working right. Your father doesn't know how to fix things like he did. They'll figure it out. Will they? They'll have to. She looked at me then. Really looked at me. You're different. I'm the same. I'm just not there. No. She said, you're different. You look lighter. She was right. I'd lost weight not from stress, but from finally sleeping through the night. My skin was clearer. I was smiling at work again. The residents had noticed. Dr. Patel had asked me if I was seeing someone, because I seemed happy. I wasn't seeing anyone. I was just free, and Patricia left after an hour. She hugged me at the door, held on tight and whispered, I'm proud of you. Those words broke something in me, or fixed something. I couldn't tell which. January came. February. March. I built a life. A small life. But mine. I took a ceramics class on Tuesday nights. Made some friends. Went on a few dates. Nothing serious. But it was nice to remember what it felt like to be wanted for just being me. Not for what I could do or give or fix. Then March 12th happened. I got a call at work from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer it, but something made me pick up. Is this Valentina Rodriguez? A woman's voice. Professional. Kind. Yes. This is Linda Chan from County General. I'm calling about your father, Roberto Rodriguez. He was brought in 2 hours ago. Heart attack, the world tilted. He's stable, but he's asking for you. I left work early. Drove to the hospital with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Walked into the ICU like I'd done 1,000 times for other people's families, but this time it was mine. My mother was in the waiting room. She looked old. That's the first thing I thought. When had she gotten so old? Her hair was more gray than black now. She had new lines around her mouth. She was smaller somehow, like she'd been diminished. She stood up when she saw me. Didn't rush to me. Didn't hug me. Just stood there, looking at me like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to be relieved. Val. Where is he? Room 4. They're letting family in one at a time. I walked past her. A nurse I didn't know stopped me, asked my relationship to the patient. I'm his daughter, I said. I'm also an RN. I work at Mercy. She let me through. My father looked small in that hospital bed. Machines beeping around him. An oxygen tube in his nose. His eyes were closed. I stood there for a long moment, just looking at him, this man who had raised me and failed me and loved me in his incomplete way. His eyes opened, saw me, tears immediately. Mija. I sat down in the chair next to his bed, took his hand. It was cold. I'm here, Dad. I'm sorry. His voice was hoarse. I'm so sorry. Don't talk. You need to rest. No? Listen. He squeezed my hand. I was a coward. I let us. We took advantage of you. We knew we were doing it. I told myself you were okay with it, that you wanted to help. But I knew we were taking too much. Dad, when you left, everything fell apart. Not just the house. Us. Your mother and I. We had to look at what we'd done. What we'd let happen. Marcus too. He's been working. Really working. Saving money. He wants to apologize to you. I didn't believe that. But I let my father talk. I don't want to die with this between us. He said, you're not dying. Not today, but someday. And I need you to know I see you now. I see what you did, what you gave up. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I cried then, quietly, holding my father's hand in that sterile room with machines beeping out the rhythm of his damaged heart. My father survived. Triple bypass. He was in the hospital for a week, then home for recovery. I didn't go back to the house, but I visited him at the hospital every day. We talked. Really talked. For the first time maybe ever. He told me about his childhood in Medellin N, about coming to America with nothing, about the pressure he'd felt to provide, to be strong, to never show weakness. How when he lost his job, he'd felt like he'd lost himself. How easy it had been to let me carry weight he was supposed to carry. It was like you made it look easy, he said. So we told ourselves it was okay, that you could handle it. But we knew. We always knew. I listened. I didn't forgive him, not right away. But I started to understand him. And maybe that was more important. My mother came to visit me at my apartment in late March. She called first, asked if she could come. I said yes, but I was nervous. We hadn't been alone together since Thanksgiving. She brought flowers. Supermarket tulips, my favorite. She remembered. We sat on my futon. I'd bought a coffee table by then, a real one, and drank tea. She looked around my apartment, at the life I'd built without them. It's nice, she said. It's very you. Thank you. Silence. Then, I was wrong. I looked at her. That day, Thanksgiving, I was wrong. I was angry about other things, Marcus. The money, your father's health problems we didn't know about yet. And I took it out on you. Because you were there. Because you were always there. She was crying now. You were the strong one. So I didn't think about how hard it might be for you. I took you for granted. Yes, I said. You did. She flinched like I'd hit her, but I let you. I continued. I could have said no, could have set boundaries. I didn't, because I wanted to be the good daughter, the one who saved everyone. And that's on me. No, Mija. That's on me. On us. We're the parents. We should have protected you, not used you. We cried together then, for the first time since I was a little girl. We cried for all the years of resentment and silence and unspoken pain, for the family we'd been and the family we'd failed to be. I don't know if I can go back to the way things were, I said. I don't want you to, she said. The way things were wasn't good for any of us. We need to be different. All of us. Marcus came to see me in April. He knocked on my door on a Tuesday night, still wearing his warehouse uniform. He looked exhausted and older and humbled. Can I come in? I let him. He sat on my futon and looked at his hands. I've been an asshole, he said. Yeah. For years. My whole life, probably. He laughed a little. I lost everything when you left. My girlfriend. My free ride. My excuses. I had to look at myself. Really look. And I didn't like what I saw. What did you see? A grown man living in his parents' basement. Letting his little sister take care of him. Smirking when she got criticized for the very things I was doing. He looked up at me. I saw a coward. Marcus, no. Let me finish. I've been working. Really working. For the first time since college. It's hard. It sucks. I come home tired and sore and I think about you. Doing this for years while also giving us money. While we criticized you. While I criticized you. He paused. I found the receipts. My stomach dropped. What? In Mom's office. She had them in a folder. Every check you'd written. Every bank transfer. $68,342. Over 15 years. He was crying now. Jesus, Val, how did you do it? I don't know. I just did. I'm paying you back. Marcus, I'm paying you back. It's going to take me years. Decades maybe. But I'm paying you back. Every dollar. I don't want your money. I know. But I need to give it. I need to do something to make this right. Please, let me do this. I looked at my brother. This man I'd resented and loved and resented again my whole life. And I saw something new. Something like humility. Like growth. Okay, I said. He nodded. Wiped his eyes. Then he said something that surprised me. I liked it. You know, when you left. I stared at him. What? Not at first. At first I was pissed. But then I saw what happened. How the house fell apart. How Mom and Dad had to actually deal with their shit. How I had to deal with mine. He smiled sadly. You leaving was the best thing that could have happened to this family. Even if it didn't feel like it. My brother liked it. And he was right. We talked for hours that night. Really talked. He told me about his job. About the apartment he was saving for. About the GED classes he was taking because he wanted to go back to college. About the woman he'd met at work. A single mom who reminded him what real strength looked like. He told me he was proud of me. That he'd always been jealous of me. Of my strength, my independence, my ability to keep going when everything was falling apart. That he'd hidden that jealousy behind mockery and indifference because he didn't know how else to deal with it. I want to be more like you, he said. Be more like yourself. I said, just a better version. He left at midnight, hugged me at the door, held on tight. "Thank you for leaving," he whispered. "Thank you for showing us who we really were." In May, my father was cleared to go back to light work. The family had a small gathering at the house, just immediate family, and they invited me. I went, walked into that house for the first time in 6 months. It was different. Cleaner somehow, despite the visible repairs that still needed doing. Lighter. Marcus had moved out. I could see the basement door was open, empty now. The kitchen had new curtains that my mother had made herself. We ate dinner together. Spaghetti, my mother's recipe, but my father had cooked it. It was edible. Almost good. Everyone helped clean up. Everyone. My father raised his glass of water. "I want to say something to Valentina. Thank you for everything you did, for everything you gave, and for leaving when we didn't deserve you to stay. You taught us more by going than we ever learned when you were here." I cried. They cried. We were all crying. And it was messy and human and real. Things aren't perfect. They never will be. I still live in my apartment. I still work at Mercy. I see my family once every 2 weeks, sometimes less. We have boundaries now, real ones. When my mother asked me to co-sign a car loan, I said no, and she accepted it. When Marcus asked to borrow money, I told him to ask the bank, and he did. Last month, I received a check from Marcus, $500, with a note, first of many. "I love you." I cried when I got it. Not because I needed the money, but because it meant he understood. He finally understood. My mother and I have coffee every other Sunday. We talk about small things, mostly her garden, my ceramics class, the neighbors. But sometimes we talk about the big things. About the years of resentment. About how love can become obligation, can become poison if you're not careful. About how the strongest thing I ever did was walk away. "You saved us," she told me once. "By leaving." "I saved myself," I said. "Yes, and that saved us too." My father sends me texts now. Pictures of the flowers he planted. Updates on his health. Random jokes he finds funny. It's awkward and sweet and new. We're learning each other again, without the weight of dependency crushing everything. Last week, I got an email from Gabriella. She's coming home for Christmas. She wants to see me, to apologize for being absent for so long. I'm not sure what I'll say to her yet, but I'll figure it out. I always do. I'm 33 years old. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment with a futon that's seen better days and a collection of ceramics that are more enthusiastic than good. I have a job I love, friends who choose me for me, and a family I'm learning to love at a distance. That Thanksgiving Day, when my mother told me to leave, she thought she was pushing me away. What she actually did was set me free. Free from the weight of being everything to everyone. Free from the guilt of never being enough. Free to discover that I was complete all on my own. I didn't need them to be whole. I never did. But here's the thing they're finally learning. They needed me. And losing me, really losing me. Feeling the absence of my presence and my money and my tireless fixing, that's what woke them up. That's what made them look at themselves and finally change. My brother was right. He liked what happened when I left. Not because he enjoyed my absence, but because my absence forced growth, forced accountability, forced all of them to become the people they should have been all along. And me? I learned that love doesn't have to hurt. That family doesn't mean sacrifice until there's nothing left. That the strongest word in the English language is a simple, quiet no. I learned that sometimes the best way to help someone is to stop helping them. I learned that I am enough. Just me. Just this. Just Valentina, alone in her apartment with her crooked ceramics and her hard-won peace. And when I go to sleep at night, I sleep all the way through. No phone calls at AM about emergencies that aren't emergencies. No guilt gnawing at my stomach. No weight on my chest. Just quiet. Just peace. Just the sound of my own breathing in the dark. And the knowledge that tomorrow I get to wake up and choose myself again. That's the real ending to this story. Not the dramatic exit or the tearful reconciliations or even my brother's confession that my leaving was the best thing that ever happened to them. The real ending is this. I'm happy. For the first time in 20 years, I'm actually genuinely happy. And I didn't need them to change for that. I didn't need their apologies or their repayment or their recognition. I just needed to leave. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. Sometimes the greatest love you can give is refusing to let yourself be consumed. Sometimes saving yourself is the same thing as saving everyone else. That's what I learned on that Thanksgiving day when my mother told me to leave. And you know what? I'm grateful to her for saying it, because she was right. It was time. Past time. And now, finally, I'm free.